What's going on, guys? Joe's Reviews here, and today we're going to be looking at something a little bit different. We're going to be doing a first impression on the Cryomods Wireless MM710. Now, this is a G305 based wireless mouse mod with a printed baseplate to accommodate the internal PCB and switch PCB for the G305, as well as the side buttons for the G305. All inside the chassis of an MM710. Now, to start this off, if you're interested in this mouse, or an XM1 wireless, or Cone Pure Ultra wireless, the guy who makes this, his name is Cryomods, I'll leave all of his links in the description. Now, chances are, if you're into the custom mouse scene, you've heard of Cryomods, so it's not really news to you that this exists. But if that is news to you, all his links will be in the description so you can check this out. Now, the starting price on this mouse is $150 US, and that is if you do not provide him either the G305 or the MM710. So this, I did not provide him either of those mice. So he had to, I assume he had them on hand, or he ordered them. Now, I commissioned this last week on Wednesday, or Tuesday or Wednesday, I think, and by Friday he had already sent me pictures saying, hey, look, your mouse is done, I'm going to send it out tomorrow, and I received it yesterday, which was April 13th, and I used it last night, and I have to say, I'm really impressed with the way this thing feels. If I had to compare it to another $150 mouse, obviously it's a little bit different because it's a custom mouse, but to be honest, I said this to him in Twitter DMs last night after I used it. This mouse to me feels better than the original Viper Ultimate did, which also cost $150. So to put that into perspective, this being made by, an engineering student in his free time is able to compete with the quality of something like a giant company. Now, the mouse itself, he gives you options. He allows you to pick which switches you want in here. He offers, just the stock Omrons. Then he offers all the different Kale switches that you might want. So the GM 2.0, the GM 4.0, the GM 8.0, and he'll do it on either only the main buttons, only the side buttons. I don't know why you would want only the side buttons. Maybe you're crazy. But here, he also offers Japanese Omrons, and he allows you to specify other switches, I believe, if you want something else. Now, the total cost for this mouse, for me, was $165 US, I think, which I consider it worth it, especially if you really like this shape. Like, for me, I had never used this shape, right? But I had used the XM1, and it was just a little bit too wide. And I find that this is a very similar shape, just slightly not as wide, slightly narrower, and it is shorter as well. So because my hands are 17 by 9.5, this mouse fits my claw grip much better than the XM1 did. So the switches themselves, they feel really good. There's ever so slight pre-travel on both M1 and M2. And to be honest, I was really impressed with the pre and post on these. There's basically no post. Like, you can push as hard as you want and it just doesn't budge anymore. Additionally, there's really no creaking, which is impressive. I mean, I'm a little bit hesitant to really squeeze this thing. Like, I'm not gonna squeeze it and bash on the mouse as like some reviewers do in their mouse reviews, because this is a 3D printed base, and obviously it's not as strong as like an injection mold standard base. So I'm not gonna put it through all that, but it is really solid. And you can see the little battery back here. I elected to go with the small battery, which I think lasts like 2 to 3 days is what he lists. It's it's a 50 milliamp hour battery, but he also offers a large battery, which is 180 milliamp hours, and it lasts 1 to 2 weeks. I elected to go with the smaller one because, you know, charging the mouse isn't really that big a deal, and I only really use my mouse for a couple hours at the end of the day, so I'm expecting it to go a little bit longer than 2 to 3 days, to be honest. Now, because this is a G305 mod, you do control this through either G-Hub, or because this is a G305, you can use the Logitech gaming software, which is a much better experience than G-Hub. G-Hub just gets kind of confusing sometimes, and it's annoying to always have to have it running in the background. So if you do download G-Hub, I would say, you know, make your changes to the DPI and then get rid of it. But this mouse, speaking of DPI actually, the DPI button, at first I thought, you know, hey, this doesn't work, but you just really have to press it in really hard, because I'm sure actually, I can see it. There is a little bit of a leg in there that's extended from the stock DPI button down to the DPI button for the 305. So you really just do have to press real hard. Now, so the DPI button is kind of mushy, but that's not really a big deal, because, to be honest, I just put one stage on here and made it 800 DPI anyway, so I don't actually even have to use the button. Now, talking about the side buttons, like we said, the main buttons are good. Just a little bit of pre and post, just a little bit of pre, no post. And the side play, there's virtually 0 on this. And like I said, I've never used an MM710 because I was hesitant about the quality control. So instead of spending $50 on a wired MM710, I spent $165 on a custom printed G305 mod. I don't know if that's a good financial decision. Probably not. But I do really like the mouse. The only issue, not even really issue, is the side buttons. So they actuate right there, and they can press basically all the way into the shell. Like, the actuation is not a problem at all. They're very, very light and crispy, very responsive. But again, if you are a little bit more on the heavy-handed side, you can push these like basically all the way in. But I think that's just a problem with, you know, the way that the 3D printed base is made. The little, you know, divider that, you know, if my hand is the divider and the buttons are my other hand, they're just kind of on that 3D printed divider. So if you push them in really hard, that little plastic piece can just kind of, you know, rock back, which is probably why there's so much post-travel, but it's not really a big deal to me. Now, these are the CorePad dots. He offers the stock feet, Tiger Ice 1, Tiger Arc 1, Tiger Arc V2, or CorePads, and I elected to go with the Ice feet initially, but he said he was having trouble getting them, so I said, hey, don't worry about it. I have a lot of feet like mouse feet at my house, so you can just send it with no feet. And he did actually go ahead and throw these dots on for me instead, and you can see the glide on this is like really, really good. This is the Ling Yun pad. That'll be my next mouse pad review. It's a bit of a in between, like a high-end and a 0 kind of speed, and because this mouse is so light at 58 grams, it does really have some good glide on this pad. There it goes, fell off the pad. And it does charge on the bottom here, so you can't use it while charging, but that's not really a big deal. I have a whole drawer full of mice that I can use in the meantime while it charges. And yeah, overall, like, I'm really impressed with this mouse. The one thing I will say is, you know, the side buttons are a little mushy, and the scroll wheel is a little bit recessed because he uses the stock G305 encoder, which I don't really have a problem with it. I actually kind of like how recessed it is, so that your fingers really have free movement on the mouse. So I think that's pretty much it. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and if you like this type of content, these mouse reviews and mousepad reviews, I'll be dropping some more in the future, so hit the subscribe button. Thanks. Peace.